Time drips away, days burn, disintegrate, years roll along and fade. Don't let them slip away. Right here, right now, today. These are the good old days. Right here, right now, today. Hey, these are the good old days.
If you grew up in the late 70s to the early 90s, you were a kid in what's called the golden age of action figures. We had so many action figure lines climbing our shelves, it was like paradise every day. We had Transformers, GoBots, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, Thundercats, Visionaries, Sectars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos, Centurion, Swamp Thing, Dick Tracy, Cops, Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, X-Men, Superpowers, Secret Wars, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Rambo and the Forces of Freedom, Silverhawk, Batman, and Batman, and Batman, RoboCop and the Ultra Police, Brave Star, and the list goes on. The good thing about that was there was all kinds of action figures to choose from. The bad thing about that was around every corner was a cheap imitation. All of our beloved action figure lines seemed to have a bootleg or rip-off line alongside them. For every Masters of the Universe, there was a Galaxy Warrior. And every one of us kids from the 80s would have a well-intentioned aunt or uncle or grandmother or cousin that would accidentally buy us one of the imitations. And we'd smile, we'd say thank you, and we'd move on. But they were never beloved. And no culprit was closer to the mark than the Lanyard Corpse line. This was a line meant to dovetail off the popularity of G.I. Joe, the real American hero. And they were so close, it was eerie. Now, we knew which ones were G.I. Joes and which ones were Lanyard Corp figures. But man, oh man, it was tough for parents to tell. And we as kids knew the only good thing to do with a Lanyard Corp figure was have your G.I. Joes beat them up.
Uh-oh.
Now, there is a bit of a gray area. As the G.I. Joe characters were so beloved to us and the figures so important, how they got around, although G.I. Joe made a lot of great vehicles, was open to interpretation. Myself, for instance, a lot of my G.I. Joes got around in this Tonka army truck, and it did the job just great. So the question being posed is, could a Lanyard Corp vehicle transport G.I. Joes successfully? And that brings us to today's video. A good friend of mine, Steve, who's cleaning out his garage, found what was described as most of a G.I. Joe tank. Upon closer inspection, it was actually the shell of the Lanyard tank. Now, this tank had been reissued many times and the mold used a lot. It always looked a little bit janky. This oversized gun, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't look as awesome, as real, or as fantastic as the G.I. Joe Real American Hero line. But I like a challenge. So today we're going to see if we can redeem this Lanyard tank shell and see if we can sneak it in to the Real American Hero G.I. Joe line. What I was thinking about doing was making a specific tank out of this one for a character. And so I started thinking about which characters I love that didn't have a vehicle. And so my top Alpha Squad were always Chuckles, Muskrat, Falcon, Spearhead, and Sub-Zero. No, not that Sub-Zero, this Sub-Zero. But none of them really spoke to me and said this character needs a tank. And then I thought about another character. A character who in the 80s everybody knew. And that character is Sergeant Slaughter. He was in comics, cartoons, the wrestling ring, and our toy box. Now, growing up, Sergeant Slaughter had his own tank, the Triple T. Now, I could describe to you the details of the Triple T tank, but I'm not the best to do that. Instead, we're going to head over to Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse and see my good friend Zazel.
Hey, this is Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, here to talk about the Triple T. The Triple T, or Tag Team Terminator, is Sergeant Slaughter's chariot of choice. This high-speed, high maneuverability cockpit on treads does have its flaws, though. No, it's not the open cockpit. Get over it, Joe fans. Sarge doesn't need front-facing protection. No, the issue with the Triple T is its insane ability to just explode. From its appearance in the toy commercials to the Sunbow cartoon and even the animated movie, the Triple T goes from vroom vroom to boom boom. So, Adam has taken it upon himself to build a bigger, better mode that won't explode. Or so we hope. Yo freaking Joe.
So my challenge today is to take the shell of a Leonard tank and make it into the ultimate Sergeant Slaughter tank.
What's that? Holy, what is that?
Alright, so here's the shell of our Leonard tank. There's not much left to it. There's a couple of panels missing. It has its treads. It's not really got much of anything. It has one little panel in the front, which is kind of lame, so we're going to probably glue that down. Those whistles don't do anything. And it has one lame gun on the side here, which is a hidden gun, which doesn't make any sense to me in a tank, but it's there and it's kind of lame, so we're going to fix that. But we need to figure out what we're going to do with this, kind of in storyline. So, what I was thinking was, Sergeant Slaughter here, he's on a mission, and he's doing his thing, and he gets caught behind enemy lines. And when he's behind enemy lines, he finds himself a junkyard, like an enemy junkyard, and then he starts MacGyvering some things together, and he ends up finding this tank and getting a bit of a Mad Max feel to it, so you can drive this tank and escape. So, first thing we're going to do is take this tank apart. There's 6 screws here, so we're just going to take those out real quickly, and once those are out, the top should just lift right off. There we go. And then underneath here, you can see, and this is part of the Leonard thing, is they have all kinds of, there's some screws, there's some plugs, there's some melted stuff that hold in like the antennas and the guardrails and things like that, all these little bits and bobs. So we're going to take those all off so that we can paint this thing once we get it together. And we might put some back on, we might not. We'll see what happens when we get there. But it's just funny how they chose to put this together. Alright, and so the first thing you have to figure out is this big hole on the top. So we took some measurements of it and went to my 3D space and designed this shape here that'll go into the hole and give us a little bit of a base to work with. And all I have to do now is just add a flange at the top so it doesn't fall all the way through. There we go. And now I'll just print that off, and here it is. I'll print it off in green because that's what I had in the printer. And it should just fit right into there. It should turn and then lock in place. So we'll come out, and we have the basis of our turret. Now for the gunner's seat, I wanted to do like a bit of a diamond plate texture you can see here, just to kind of give it that Mad Max junkyard piece together feel. And I put a plug at the bottom that's the same size as the hole in our little turret there. So this seat should just print off nicely and fit right in. And there's the seat printed off, and you can see that diamond plating has come out real nice. And if we've done our job properly, it should just sit right into this turret. And there you go. It sits in there nice and flush, and it spins, so that's good. The next thing we wanted to do was Sarge's main firearms for the gun, or some of his main firearms. And because it's a junkyard, I wanted to kind of give it something that felt a little old. So I tried to design up like a World War I, like biplane machine gun. And I thought that would be a fun thing to add. So I designed up what that would look like, and then I made 2 of them, put them on a turret, and they'll fit right into the seat like that. And there we go, and so those printed up, and they came up pretty nice. And so that's going to be kind of Sarge's main gun, and we're going to put it right in the seat there, and again, when you glue this all together, it'll fit better in there. But that's what she's going to look like. The next thing I was going to design was a back shield, kind of for the seat, and some extra armaments. And for the extra armaments, I went with kind of like the minigun look. I designed up 2 miniguns here because ever since I saw the movie Predator, and they let old Painless out of the bag, I think that the minigun is the coolest weapon in the world, and any movie would be better with a minigun. Terminator, better with a minigun. Superman, better with a minigun. Sleepless in Seattle, better with a minigun. The Notebook, better with a minigun. The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, better with a minigun. So I wasn't going to pass up my opportunity to get a back shield on here and attach some miniguns on there. So these two miniguns are just going to plug into the sides here of this back shield, and they're going to fit in just like that. Now for those two empty hatches at the front, I designed up this little plug here, and I figured Sarge was going to need some battering ram power, so just put together some like steel girders and to create a makeshift battering ram, which I think seems pretty awesome and pretty Sergeant Slaughter. And to make it a little longer, I printed it in two pieces and made some couplers here. So we're going to glue those together in a second, but it's just going to sit in right like that and bash down whatever is in the Sarge's way. And for this little hatch here that has this gun that comes down and has the exposed screw in it, and it's a stupid looking gun, I did what G.I. Joe was famous for and just designed up a little shelf here with a tab on it, and that tab was going to house a missile. These kind of missiles were on every Joe vehicle, so we need to have at least one on ours. Now, I'm just using regular spray paint. I painted the turret plug black, and to give it the same color scheme as a Triple T, I painted the battering ram and the seat and the chassis white.
Come on, you guys! I can use a little help!
Alright, so here's our bottom half of the tank, and we're going to leave it the same color. We're going to paint this, just because we want it to match the Triple T color scheme. So once we get the top on, you can see it's starting to look that way. And then we're just going to take those 6 screws and we're going to put them back in and put this thing together. First thing we're going to do is put this turret back in. Again, it just slips in and then turns to lock in place. That looks up really, really nicely. Next thing we're going to do is put this missile on our missile base. We're just going to glue it in place so there's no more janky gun. We're all set, so that looks pretty great. Just glue it in place. And then next up is our main gunner seat. It fits great, it's there. So we're just going to take a little bit of glue, glue that to the turret, be all set for action. And then we take our machine gun turret we got from a biplane, and that just slips right in place there, and this thing is starting to come together. Now the next thing we're going to do is these mini guns, and we're just going to take a little bit of glue and glue them onto these pegs. And then we're going to take a little bit of glue and just glue the battering ram in place in the front of the tank. So there just like that. Then we move on to the seat. I made a little seat for the gunner chair, just to make it pop a little bit and kind of, again, mimic what the Triple T looks like. The Sarge will have a good place to sit. Alright, for the miniguns, I designed them so that they can be fed a belt of bullets. And I printed off this belt of bullets that I designed up, and it printed off straight and rigid, which is how it works. But I'm going to use the hot water trick. I'm going to take a cup of hot water. I'm just going to place the bullet belt into the hot water, and it's real reliable. Just for a couple seconds, into the gun, and just let it fold over so you get a real natural looking bullet belt. And then we're going to do the other side as well, the same way. Just have it kind of hang over, and within seconds it'll firm back up. And we're off to the races. Those will be just like that, and I think those look fantastic. Now, I didn't put together a lot of stickers, just a few to kind of give it the G.I. Joe branding, and then kind of this spray painted Sergeant Slaughter in a junkyard motif. And I thought it would be really, really funny to name the battering ram the Maggot Masher. And because Sarge is anything but subtle, we're going to put his name on this thing and be spray painted on there and let Cobra know who is coming for him. And so we'll put that right in this spot there. And then we're going to turn to the front of the battering ram, and we are going to put the sticker here called the Maggot Masher. I think that Sarge has a good sense of humor. Just going to crush over some maggots with this bad boy and take down anything in his way. And then we just need to put our G.I. Joe branding stripe along the bottom of the gunner seat to let people know that he is in fact representing the real American hero, Elite Squad, G.I. Joe.
So there you go, we've taken the lantern shell of a tank, transformed into the ultimate Sergeant Slaughter machine. Now, G.I. Joe vehicles always had incredible names, so it's time to name this. And I've come up with a few ideas that I think would be great names for this tank, but we're not going to decide that here today. Instead, we're going to head over to Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, and we're going to decide what this tank is called. If you had as much fun as we did, if you like what we're doing, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube stuff. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next video or over at the Slaughterhouse.